Thank you, Mr. Shea. Next item on our agenda are our consent agenda items. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine, and they have been reviewed by council as part of our council packet, and they will be enacted in one motion unless a member of the public or a member of council asks to have an item removed from the consent agenda, and then it'll be placed in its regular order on the regular agenda. But before I ask if anyone would like to do that, Brenda, would you please review the consent agenda for us?
4B, approve the minutes of the August 27, 2025 study session and September 3, 2025 regular meeting. 4C, oaths of office. 4D, a tax abatement PA 198 for Hudsonville Creamery and Ice Cream Company, LLC, 345 East 48th Street. 4E, Board of Public Works declaration of surplus material, September 2025. 4F, Units 10 and 11 gear set replacements. 4G, the Grosskop Water Main Pipe Bursting Project. 4H, Board of Public Works Fiscal Year 2026 Terms of Service Updates. 4I, the Planning Commission Fiscal Year 2025 Annual Report, accept as information. 4J, assignment of payment in lieu of taxes resolution for Midtown Village Apartments. 4K, Development District liquor license request, Tulip City Golf Sims. 4L, traffic changes recommendation for an all-way stop at 16th Street and Ottawa Avenue. 4M, traffic changes parking restriction in alleyway adjacent to 9th Street parking deck. 4N, traffic changes, removal of non-compliant crosswalk on 40th Street. 4O, transportation, declare items as surplus. 4P, approve purchase of 5 pickup trucks and plows. 4R, a revocable license agreement for groundwater monitoring wells and soil vapor monitoring points in the right-of-way at 407 West 17th Street. 4S, renewal of the Microsoft Office 365 software. And 4T, International Festival of Holland, approval of entertainment agreements.
Thank you, Brenda. Is there any member of the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none. Is there any member of council that would like to have an item removed from consent and placed on the regular agenda?
Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Corbin.
Items K and N, please.
All right, that is the Development District liquor license, and that'll be at 12D1. And then you said K and
N as in Nora.
N as in Nora, which is item 12E 1.3, traffic changes, removal of the non-compliant crosswalk at 40th Street. Anyone else would like to remove an item from consent? What is the pleasure of council in regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented with the changes of K and N being moved to our regular meeting.
Support.
Got moved by Freeman, support by Rowan. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Byrd.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item on our agenda is number 5, public comment. Under the Open Meetings Act of the State of Michigan, we provide the public the opportunity to address council and every single one of our boards, committees, and commissions. We do have rules that we ask you to follow. One is that each person is limited to speaking one time for 5 minutes total. There are 3 lights on the dais in front of me. There's a red light, a green light, and a yellow light. The red light means that you're doing well on time. The yellow light means that you have 1 minute left, and the red light means that your time has expired, and we are strict about that. Also remember that this is one-way communication. It's an opportunity for you to be able to address us on any subject that you believe is important. But we don't answer questions during this time or engage in discussion, but if there's an answer a staff member can come back to you with, we'll do our best to do that. We ask that you come to the podium and state your name and the municipality in which you live, because it's important for us to know whether you're a resident of the City of Holland. Having said that, is there anyone here who would like to address council at this time? If so, please come forward. Come right on up, sir. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
I am Bob Harmon at 1109 Fountain View Circle, Unit 4. My wife and I have moved to Holland about 20 years ago this month and are not regretting one moment of it. We would like to express our amazement in the cleanliness of the city that is constantly maintained even after huge events like the Tulip Time, Farmers Market, and art festivals. We would like to make special thank you to the landscapers that participated in the most beautiful display of gardens and pots throughout the city. Centennial Park takes the prize for us with the astounding design, color selection, and plant selection. Who knew that zinnias could grow 4 feet and the coleus 3 feet? That said, we are at a loss for the city that attracts so many subjects, then to view, let me start. We are at a loss with a city that attracts so many people, then they have to view 2 sites that are definitely not on the city's high standards. The CXX Railroad is one of them, which has been rusty for 20 years that we know of. And the south side of the Park Theater that has needed a coat of paint for many years. We'd just like to see those 2 structures improved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yes, my name is Israel Quintanilla. I also go by Izzy. I am the former owner of Reliable Sports, which is at 254 South River. It's been 6 years that I've cordially communicated with every one of you at this table. And I am extremely frustrated with the value of what you have when something's gone wrong. And I will not stop by any means till this gets on a national plateau for you to understand that when wrong is made wrong, it's made right. When I have people that have tremendous accountability, for example, Carrie Wolverton, she used to work at Chicago title worker. She put all the documentations that I emailed to every single one of you. She told me tonight, she said, no, go tell them the truth because you have nothing but truth because I put it together for you. 710 Chicago Drive, I was wrongfully evicted. And I'm gonna state that very clearly. Wrongfully evicted by, no, not the landlord, let's not play blaming games, but by the city here. Juan Mascoro served a 45-day condemnation on the owner saying, you got 45 days. Juan Mascoro said to me, Izzy, you're safe because they're not gonna fix it. Okay, what happens? Somehow or another, your city inspector's office and your court did not communicate that, hey, that building's been put under city sanctions. By federal law, that person that's in that property is protected by the city. I've Googleized it, I've put everything out there. And if you think for any forsaken reason that I'm just gonna bow down and walk away because you guys are the prestige city of Holland, that's not right. It's not right. It doesn't matter who I am, it matters about the morals and principles of the law that pertain to a wrongful eviction. And I've asked Keith Verbeek multiple times, and Mayor Brock, I've asked to talk to you in person, off the record. I've asked you, sir, can we just sit down, me and you, no cameras, no nothing, and let's cordially figure this out. What do I get back? Absolutely nothing. That's not right. It's been 6 years, people. 6 years. I've been laughed on, shit on, and made fun of. It has to stop somewhere. It has to. This is a great town. I love this town. I grew up here. I went to St. Francis. I went to Lincoln. I graduated out of Zeeland in '94. I bought that store. I built a superstore out of it. And the documentations fall in place. You can't put somebody on the street when the property is under city sanctions for condemnation. Rent was paid too. When the court officer serves me and says, Izzy, I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but what I do know is that you need to call your insurance company, you need to call your lawyer because your rent's paid. The rent was paid. So you even say, well, you didn't pay your rent. No, the rent was paid. I even paid the rent and the forbearance. The forbearance even lapsed. So where's the lack of communication from this building to the courthouse to state, oh, well, hey, protect him. Because the shiesty dude out of New York that's never complied with this board from the time he owned it took responsibility. The building was under sanctions. Prime example, B2B was in there. Is in there now. They had to move out. Why? Because the building wasn't up to code. Guess what? B2B's back in the building now. Wow, that's weird. And it's up to code. So to sit here and to make me feel like I'm incompetent or I'm dumb is wrong. I want vindication and I want compensation from this community for this to be made right. And if you think I'm going to bow down, I'm not going to, by any means. I'd like to have a conversation with you whenever you're ready. And let's put this to bed. Let's get Izzy whole. Let's move forward. And by the way, I will continue to knock on doors one by one. And I have a great message for every one of you. Because I know every one of you go to church. I know every one of you pray. We just prayed, right? Well, my message is that every single one of you are my brothers and sisters. Every one of you. And I love every single one of you. I love you. Okay? Because that's what my Lord asked me to do. I'm not holding judgment. Okay? That's not my place to hold judgment. I can have an opinion. He's the only man that can hold judgment. But in my eyes, I need my brothers and sisters that are up here to finally understand that, hey, there's some truth here. Let's get Izzy whole. Let's set our brother free. And that is what I have to say. And I'm not even going to talk about Brian Heller or HPD tonight. I'm strictly focusing on your city inspection office in this town, right here, me. Let's find a way to make me whole. If you want to contact me, 616.
Mr. Mayor, that's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, sir, your time has expired.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And you are one of our wonderful HIAC students.
Yes.
And I forewarned you that I have special rules for HIAC students in addition to public comment. We would love to know your name, what school you go to, what you're involved with HIAC, your grade, and if you have any plans for the future. And of course, if you don't, that's all right, because I didn't have any at your age either. So
Okay.
go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Elsa Pedro, and I'm currently a junior at Black River Public School, and I'm part of the environmental committee, and my future occupation will probably be something in art, because I really enjoy that. First off, I'd like to say how grateful I am to be a part of this committee and this community as a whole. I'm so grateful that I get the chances to be a part of something really special. But today, I'd like to report on my committee and the plans that we have for the hopeful upcoming future year. But first I'm going to talk about one of the ones that we did over the summer, which was we planted a native plant garden in Jefferson Elementary Public School. And we did that hoping to draw awareness to kids about nature and how important it is to preserve that and the insects and everything around it. But currently, since we finished that off, we decided to hand it over to Jefferson Elementary School since they said they could take care of that themselves without us having to do that anymore. But besides that, our new plan this year, hopefully, is to be able to plant tulips this year for tulip time, since it's a very amazing time of year, and we really want to get involved in that. But we haven't decided on the location we're going to do that in yet, so I hope that we can get that done accordingly, since we just had our last meeting like last Monday, so I hope that we can get that all accomplished with, and I hope I can do more for the environment and more for this committee, and thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Yes, my name is Jacob Horner. I'm a resident of Grand Rapids. I'm the head of real estate for Dwelling Place, and I just wanted to come here and say thank you. You just approved with the consent agenda the pilot resolution for Midtown Apartments. That will allow us to have a competitive application for funding so we can preserve that as affordable senior housing. So I just want to say thank you. Also, just as a very brief update, we're getting very close to our groundbreaking for Collin Park, and we don't have a date yet, but we'll make sure that you know about that and would love for you to join us to celebrate that. So thank you again for your support of our organization and affordable housing in your community.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And you're also one of our HIAC students.
I am.
Welcome, and you know the rules.
Hi, my name is Anu Mangrio, and I'm a senior at Holland High School. I am part of the International Relations Commission. I plan to double major in biomedical engineer and international studies. I plan to minor in either journalism or criminal justice. One of my high school goals was to improve my social emotional skills, which I did through volunteering and being more engaged in extracurricular activities. In my pursuit of my goal, I've had the honor and privilege of volunteering for community-based organizations like Community Action House, historically significant places like Holland Museum, and many more, which include food drives and recreational activities. My community service work has accumulated to about 125 hours in 2.5 years, and has helped me not only improve my social intellect, but aspire to do more for myself and others than I ever thought I could. My newfound aspiration has enacted me to work as an agent of change within my school and my community, advocating for the development of social intellect in youth. As a result of my effort, I have been inducted into the National Honor Society and the National Art Honor Society. I've been nominated for Student of the Week, and I've been accepted as a Big Future Ambassador. And I've also joined the International Relations Commission to better improve my social skills. I look forward to discovering more of my potential and working to construct social change with student leaders initiating change. In December, we'll be holding an anti-bullying and harassment presentation at Holland Middle School to encourage inclusive behaviors among children at an early age. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Hello, Council. My name is Orlando Estrada, and I was born and raised and live here in Holland, Ward 2. And I think yesterday was just great. Great. Everybody speaking, running for office, great. As you know, sometimes people make honest mistakes. And, you know, it's easy to be angry with somebody, but you always should address somebody first before you go out there and shout and not be like, I don't like so-and-so or whatever, because we don't need gossip. You guys are all fine people. So I live on Washington Boulevard, right next door to Lynn, who is an awesome councilwoman, by the way. Right around the corner, Brian Everett dwells on West 12th Street. And there's been some accusations. You may have got some misinformation about where he truly lives. And I know you're an attorney, and I've been in court before. There are different legal terms. There's legalese, there's English, the word living or the word dwelling, domicile. They all have different variations, but they kind of mean the same, but they kind of don't. So as firsthand knowledge, and I'd be more than happy to get an affidavit notarized with the witness, that Brian M. Everett actually dwells in the city of Holland, zone, region, whatever cute lanes you want to do, right around the corner. So it's unfortunate that, you know, somebody who has earned money, you know, working his own business for only 25 years to actually, you know, buy a second property. And I think you had a great story yesterday about how you were willing to move into a condominium, your kids moved to your house, because I think that helped with housing. You know, everybody has their privilege, everybody has their opportunity to be in different properties and to enjoy them. So, you know, maybe there's some miscommunication about how accounting goes. I'm not an expert in accounting, but he lives in Holland. The other thing I want to mention is, Quincy, I think you did a great job yesterday sitting next to somebody who thinks they champion diversity when you out here are actually demonstrating diversity. And I appreciate you speaking out that there was a fine print about the ordinance that we should also protect churches and nonprofits so everybody is included. And I do believe no matter your orientation or your race, that no one should be judged. I just really believe that people should just look at the fine print. And I'm really happy this is not a partisan type thing. This is a nonpartisan committee. So I hope you guys take that seriously. It's not about throwing jabs. It's about clarification. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Good evening. You're also one of our HIAC students.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kyun. I'm a senior at Black River High School, and I serve on the Recreation Committee, and my plans for the future is to attend college and eventually be a PA, or a physician's assistant. I am deeply passionate about mental health, especially when it comes to students. It's something that affects more of us than we often realize, and it deserves to be talked about open and honestly. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and this topic is too important to ignore. It's easy to look at charts and statistics, but what really matters is looking beyond the numbers and seeing the real people behind them. Every number represents a life, a person with hopes, struggles, and value. As someone who has friends who've struggled and understands what it's like to struggle, I know how much a kind word and a small gesture can mean. Struggles can be silent, and you never know what someone is going through. So, I'm giving you homework. After this meeting, I want you to tell someone, especially if you have kids, that you're proud of them. Tell them that they're doing great, and tell them that they matter. Because those small words can truly make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to bend the rules because I don't normally comment, but I was going to say this anyway. It's not easy to get up in front of that microphone, and I am always impressed with our HIAC students. The three of you did an amazing job tonight. I'm really impressed with what it is that you're accomplishing. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being part of the community, because you do make it better. You matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Ann Henriksen, Zealand. For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will be on his shoulders. He will be named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. His dominion will be vast, and its prosperity will never end. He will reign on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish and sustain with justice and righteousness from now and forever. The zeal of the Lord will accomplish this. Isaiah 9:6. I read this in honor and memory of Charlie Kirk, whose message has ignited the world with the righteousness of God for all. In the same power of God, Van Raalte said, "We give this land of Holland for you to see and to prosper, providing Jesus Christ be your precious portion in life." From this, uniquely, Holland's mission statement is that religious expression would be the bedrock zeal, because of the Lord of hosts will establish this. We heard last night that the League of Women Voters that Holland is a thriving city of success with a bright future. Of course, the mayor and the council are very proud of this. The city council has been trained and deeply influenced to be the model of unity. It is assumed unity is essential for the city's success. Diversity of opinion was suggested, but the votes are always 100% for the sake of unity, which raises a red flag. The Bible says, pride goes before a fall and an arrogant spirit before destruction. So does the unity take the place of justice, a servant spirit, and vigilant sacrifice? Does this unity rule the city in justice? Or does it oppress and divide protected people groups in an ordinance? That is what has happened. Peace within ourselves comes only with confession that our self-ruled endeavors have overshadowed our purpose. Observing you for 5 years, I'm alerted to the council's ebb and flow. There is an evidence of appreciation and value of one another, but I see getting along has stifled debate and ability to challenge. Getting along often results in ignoring individual examination. Are you really representing the public's needs, or are you telling the public the council knows what is best for them? Have you leisurely eliminated listening to their thoughts and eliminated guiding groups to thrive as they should be? Has unity become a settled indifference? I think the Bible calls that lukewarm in Revelations 23:14-22. Jesus' voice speaks hope and comfort for the deceived Judases of the world. Because you say I am rich, I become wealthy and need nothing, and you don't know that you are wretched and pitiful, poor, blind, and naked, I plead with you to buy from me, Jesus, gold refined in the fire, so that you may be rich, white clothes that you may be dressed and not shameful of nakedness and not exposed, the ointment to spread on your eyes so that you may see. Here's the reasoning, as he says, as many as I love, I rebuke and discipline. So be committed to repent. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and have dinner with him, and he with me the bread of life. I miss Mike Trathui. I miss Raul Garcia. But in the end, they too were influenced, leaving honored and dignified, but not truly standing for their heart and faith as they knew they should for the people of Holland. I and others are praying for you, not because we are better, but because we know the bondage of pride. This is not the intentional character assassination that we saw last night. What we pray for the city is a new council, especially for a new mayor and city manager, not necessarily to mean new people, but as Jesus would say, new wine in new wineskins, a new vision for the soul of our city, where all would know their God-given purpose, destiny, and legacy. Please join with us at Collin Park, September 27th, 3 o'clock, 3:30 to 6:30, for a unique forum of worship and prayer as the winds of the lake and the sound of the amphitheater lifts the name of King Jesus.
Mr. Mayor, that's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, your time has expired. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Next item on the agenda, item 7A, special order of the day, public hearings, review and approval of the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, lovingly called the CAPER, for the 2024-2025 CDBG program year. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Mark is so good, he knew he was going to get the clicker on the way out there. I think everybody knows Mark Cornelis, who gets to come and give us various updates on the CDBG. And tonight, as the agenda item talks about, present, review, and ask you and recommend approval of this report. And Mark's going to go through that now.
Great.
Thanks for being here
Thanks,
tonight,
Keith.
Mark.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Yes, I get to stand in front of you at least twice a year. Once in the spring when you all approve the plan for the CDBG year coming up, and then once when that year is completed, which is happening tonight, to ask for your approval for the annual evaluation of the CDBG program. So a little bit of background that's on the screen. The Community Development Block Grant was originated through the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974. The City of Holland was not a recipient from those earliest days. We came on board in 1989, and since that time have witnessed an investment of about $12.8 million in funds, federal funds. And in summary, brief summary, the purpose, the overarching purpose of the Community Development Block Grant Program is to help communities develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing, suitable living environments, by which HUD means neighborhood settings, and expanded economic opportunities. So again, these are the two events where I'm in front of you, one to approve the plan for the year ahead, and then in the case of this evening, to approve the evaluation of last year's performance. And so the CAPER itself just details the expenditures that we expended in the last year and the accomplishments from the programs that we financed. So as for finances, or as for expenditures, they're summarized there on this screen. You'll see that we actually spent more money than we were allotted, and that's because we typically carry over a certain amount of funds from year to year. At one time, we were carrying over a large amount of funds, and there's different reasons for that. but we were carrying over $600,000 to $700,000 a year. We've knocked that down to about $200,000, and we're inching it down, and that's a positive thing. So we spent $388,630, whereas our allocation for last year was $336,28. And then you can see in the table there the amounts spent on the 5 different categories of spending. The city's own managed, the program that we run in-house, the home repair program that utilized the lion's share of the funding. And then the next 3 are partnerships we have with local nonprofit organizations, so homeownership assistance. And I'll highlight the outcomes of these projects in just a minute, but that's a partnership with Lakeshore Habitat for Humanity. The term that HUD uses for kind of social services, they refer to it as public services, in which case we have partnerships with Community Action House and Good Samaritan Ministries for specific programs that they operate. You can see the investment in that area, $45,000. We traditionally, for quite a few years running, have partnered with the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan to provide additional fair housing supports, education, enforcement, and outreach services in the community. And then finally, the amount that we spend internally on program administration. In terms of outcomes, starting with our home repair program, you see there that we assisted 42 homeowners last year. And just to clarify, this is the program year for CDBG coincides with the city's fiscal year. So we're talking July 1 of 24 to June 30 of 25. Average project cost, $8,400, with the CDBG portion being a little over $5,000 and the homeowner portion being around $3,400. In terms of households assisted, that first breakdown are and we're going to look at these income figures in just a minute, but these are the HUD's breakdowns of what they term extremely low income, which is incomes below 30% of the area median, very low income, which are incomes between 30 and 50% of the area median, and then what they term low income, I might be inclined to call it low moderate income, which are incomes between 50 to 80% of the area median. And you can see that we're assisting households in each of those categories, and I'm always happy to see that we're assisting those, that we're reaching the families in those lowest income categories as much as possible. And then some other demographic breakdowns. Exactly half of the families that we served were single adult female-headed households. A little over half were elderly-headed households. You can see a very limited racial breakdown. I can speak to that if there are questions about that. And then the ethnicity, HUD's only concerned about, in essence, they only gather data anyway on one ethnicity, which is Hispanic Latino. So close to 20% of our households identified as Hispanic Latino. On the right, you can see the types of projects that the program is assisting with, mostly roofs, or at least a good number of roofs, furnaces, and a smattering of other basic repairs. And again, as a reminder, we're only assisting with what I would term kind of critical or essential repairs. We're not doing cosmetic sorts of things unless it's ancillary to the main project that's being worked on. And then I'll just note that we're very, very fortunate in this community to have a nonprofit that assists a lot of our in this case, six of our homeowners who had a hard time reaching their contribution level. So then when we are aware of that, we alert Home Corps and we request a partnership, a financial partnership on that project. So they will nearly always come alongside of projects or households where we identify a need for that. Other accomplishments, sticking with housing and our partnership with Lakeshore Habitat for Humanity. You see the investment there again. We assisted 6 households with those funds. Basically, that assistance is $6,500 in principal reduction or down payment assistance. Again, that HUD term, public services, social services, those are the 2 partnerships we have with Community Action House and Good Samaritan. And you can see the number of persons that we assisted between those 2 organizations. The large share of that, 976 individuals, were persons assisted through Community Action House's outreach program. So a lot, they've got they're reaching a lot of folks through that service. A much smaller number assisted through Good Samaritan's homelessness prevention program, but that's to be expected. And then finally, you see some outcomes from the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan in terms of the number of education hours provided within the community and the number of fair housing tests that they oversaw. And I mentioned this back in May when we approved the plan for the year ahead, and I'll just mention it now, but there are a number of areas where we're limited based on our total allocation, we're limited on what we can spend on public services and on administration. So in case you might be wondering, could we have spent more in particular areas? Not in the case of public services, where that $45,000 that we spent in those partnerships with Community Action and Good Samaritan, that's getting close to our 15% cap that we're allowed to spend in that area. And then the other area where we have a cap is in administration. And there again, we stay within that cap. So that's the expenditure side, and the outcomes is really the bulk of what's contained in the CAPER. It does address a couple of other areas. HUD is just asking for us to comment on how we interact with some of these particular areas. I can answer questions if there's any questions about what's in the report with respect to these topics. And then I mentioned earlier I would show the income table of who is permitted to be assisted with these funds. So I think it makes sense to start at the line at the bottom. The line at the bottom is the area median income based on household size. And then moving up, you have the 80% figure of that, 80% of that number, 50% of that number, 30% of that number. So those are those three breakdowns. When I break down who we've assisted with the home repair program, everybody that was assisted met at least the 80% threshold, but somewhere in those lower income categories. Public participation, as with the plan and the report, is a requirement from HUD that we seek public input. So I did post the opportunity for public input on this plan in the Sentinel about 2 weeks ago, and then also indicated that there would be a public hearing tonight. To date, or at least up to this moment, there's not been any comments received about the plan. It was approved last evening at the Neighborhood Improvement Committee, and they did pass a resolution or a motion to recommend your approval of the report. And that's, I think, all I have, but would welcome any questions.
Great, thanks, Mark. Questions for staff? Yes, Devin.
Really quick one. Mark, you had mentioned that there was a cap on administrative things, and we are spending, I think, $11,000. Is that about where the cap is?
The cap is 20% of our allocation, so that's going to be somewhere in the low 60,000 range.
Okay.
And we choose to use a portion of our administrative funds to pay for that partnership with the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan. That's not a requirement, but a lot of communities do choose to do that. We could also be doing that out of our public service funds, but there are multiple reasons why it's better for them, better for the community to do that out of our administrative fund. So, answer your question, we're spending about $50,000 in staff time and about $11,000 in that contract with the Fair Housing Center, and that is close. That's probably 17–18% of the maximum, which would be 20%.
Great, thanks, Mark, and thanks for this whole report. It's really great.
Sure.
Any other questions? Mr. Byrd?
Yes. Maybe this is in a report further in, but for the public services, what are some of the things that we use the money for exactly?
For about
the homelessness.
3 years running, we've assisted 2 specific projects. One at Community Action House, which is their outreach program, and then one at Good Samaritan, which is their homelessness prevention program. Going back, if you're asking about going back further, what we've assisted in the past, we've done some youth employment projects in the past, but yeah, what we land on in terms of what we assist with public services really gets, comes largely from, in large part through the public input that we receive. In the early phase of the planning for the year ahead, we go out to the community and we have public meetings, and then we do some polling or some surveying around what areas of concern people have or where these funds perhaps should best be spent. And the last couple of years, homelessness has typically risen to the top among those concerns.
Okay.
So that's why we've landed in that area.
All right, so would it be safe to say, so we allocate money to those organizations and then they use that the best way that they know how, or the best way to help?
Well, they're very specific in their proposal in terms of how they're going to use the funds.
Okay.
CDBG does require that we're not offsetting any other funds that are already funding that service, so we can't just replace funding that they've maybe stopped receiving from some other source. So
Okay.
it either has to be a new service or an addition to what they're already providing. So that was the case in both of these cases. In the case of Good Samaritan, it was really kind of a new carve-out program. And in the case of Community Action House, they were adding staffing to accommodate increased need. So,
Okay.
That makes
Thank you.
sense?
Other questions for staff? I have one, Mark. We often say that the City of Holland doesn't provide social services to folks, that that's not within our wheelhouse to be able to do with tax dollars. Can you explain to the public why this is able to happen, or how this is able to happen in this instance?
Well, it's permissible in the grant that we receive from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And historically, the city, you folks and staff have elected to use a portion, that 15% that's permitted, for that particular area. So it's meeting, typically what we're trying to do is we're trying to fill gaps in other funding. So in the case of both Good Samaritan and Community Action House, not by coincidence, but they both receive a moderate amount of funding from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, which then in turn requires some sort of local dollars mixed in with those state dollars. So we're filling a gap in both of those cases. So.
But I guess the point I was hoping to get to on this was, these are federal dollars that
Correct.
are just passed through to us, and not city taxpayer dollars.
Zero local tax dollars, right?
Great, thank you.
100% federal.
Yep. Any other questions? Great, thanks, Mark.
Yep.
We need to have a public hearing on this. So at this time, I would open a public hearing on the review and approval of the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the 2024-2025 CDBG program year. And you can address council for up to 5 minutes, but on this issue only. Is there anyone here who would like to address council in regard to this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Byrd.
Support.
Support by Raymond. Any discussion? Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Bremen.
Yes.
Raymond. Yes. Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 7B, Downtown Principal Shopping District Assessment to adopt a resolution of necessity for the fiscal year 2026 Principal Shopping District Assessment, and adopt a resolution scheduling a hearing on the final assessment for October 1, 2025. That's a mouthful, Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't repeat exactly that mouthful, but I am going to take a liberty at a moment, because the next 3 items that we have, that for the public maybe is like, man, this is going to take a long time. It might, but really they're very similar 3 different topics that we're going to cover. We do, if you're wondering, have to take each one of them separately and deal with them separately. But they're 3 items that all deal with our downtown. I know I get this question a lot. I'm suspecting, Council, Mayor, you get this question a lot too, that people think that a lot of the services and the investment that happens downtown, similar to the point you just made, Mr. Mayor, might come from general tax dollars. And the reality is, it doesn't. That the process that we're about to enter into is a process where the downtown property owners have their own management board structure that's supported by city staff, and then they make choices, which we're going to go through tonight, to assess taxes in effect, but they're called assessments, and they collect money that then supports additional services that happen downtown. So our staff is going to come forward. explain the process to you, explain exactly what that assessment covers, how we calculate that, if it's an increase or not from last year. And this is the second step always in a 3-step process. The first step was a couple weeks ago on consent when we established the hearing that we're having tonight. Tonight, where you adopt a resolution of necessity, and at the same time, if you approve it, we adopt a resolution, schedule a final hearing, and then there will be a final hearing on all 3 of these matters on October 1, where there's, again, a hearing, and then you could take final action on the proposed resolution. So just a little bit of a lead-in, and then our staff members will describe each 3 of the assessments in a bit more detail and be able to answer any questions you might have. And first, Kara. Kara was like, I was ready to get up, Keith. Like, let me talk already. Thanks for being here, Kara. And the clicker's up there for you.
Okay, I don't know if I have a slide. Okay.
You have this one and that one.
Oh, that's lovely. Great. Good evening, Mayor Box, members of City Council. My name is Kara DeAlvray, and I am the Principal Shopping District Coordinator for the City of Holland. As the City Manager sort of led into this discussion, tonight we are asking that City Council adopt a resolution of necessity for the FY26 Principal Shopping District Assessment and adopt a resolution to schedule the final hearing to approve that assessment at the next meeting on October 1. So the Principal Shopping District Assessment is levied against properties within the Principal Shopping District boundaries that you can see on the map there. And the purposes of the assessment are to fund marketing, promotions, and events for our downtown businesses. So our Principal Shopping District funds support things like our sidewalk sales, our upcoming Fall Fest. It supports things like our Downtown Holland website, our social media, and other promotions we do for our businesses, like our upcoming holiday events. The Principal Shopping District Assessment is based on the square footage of the properties. We have both a core district, which is sort of the main hub of downtown Holland, as you'd probably imagine, and then a edge district as well with different rates. They are included in the City Council packet, but for the businesses within our core district, the rate is 25 cents a square foot for the ground floor, and then 14 cents a square foot for upper floors, and 14 cents a square foot for lower levels that are used for restaurant or retail purposes. And this is the funds that we use to host all of the Downtown Holland events that the community knows and loves.
Great. Any questions for Kara?
Did that rate change from last year?
It did not. That is, we did a slight increase last year, and the rate is the same this year.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
We do need to do a public hearing on this as well. So if there is anyone who would like to address council in regard to this particular item, I'm opening that public hearing, and this is your opportunity. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
It is moved by Sol. Is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Mr. Byrd? No? You good? All right. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Raymond. Yes. Corbin.
Yes.
Sol.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. On to item 7C, Downtown Snowmelt Operations and Maintenance Assessment to adopt a resolution of necessity for the annual Downtown Snowmelt Operations and Maintenance Assessment and adopt a resolution scheduling a hearing on final assessment for October 1, 2025. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Has anyone heard of snowmelt before? Kara went first. Jeff Genova has got the next two. Come on up, Jeff. Jeff, I forget. You did this last year? Yeah, you're a pro now.
I'm not going to go that far.
So please introduce us to this topic and the pertinent information.
Mayor and Council, Jeff Genova. I'm the Downtown Development Authority Coordinator for the City of Holland, and I'm over snow melt and parking, so I'll be doing both of those. I'll do one at a time so we can have our public hearing. It's our recommendation that City Council adopt a resolution of necessity for the fiscal year 26 snow melt operations assessment and adopt the resolution scheduling a public hearing for October 1st at 6 o'clock here in the chambers for the fiscal year 26 operations. Basically, snow melt is what makes Holland Holland. We love snow melt. Snow melt's a wonderful thing. And we do assessments, and those assessments are to the people that get direct benefit from snow melt. If your building touches snow melt, then you're assessed. We are going up 3% with our snow melt because we expanded snow melt, the ice rink, Columbia Street, and also next to the fire station that Gentex did. We're expanding snow melt there. The cost for power coming from BPW has gone up a little bit. Also, snow melt is almost 50 years old. So we have repair, replacement, maintenance costs that are being built into that assessment as well. We're trying to look to the future. We had a big break at River and 9th Street this year. When things like that start happening, we need to be able to repair, replace, and maintain all of that parts of snowmelt. That's the reason for our 3% increase this year. The cost is going up to 55.7 cents per square foot, which a total of $448,553 to do that. And a majority of that goes back to debt service as well, because we paid for snow melt up front. BPW paid for it, we're paying them back, and ourselves as well. So that's where that money is going for.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff? Great. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We need to do a public hearing on this as well. So at this time, I will open a public hearing in regard to snowmelt operations and maintenance assessment. Is there anyone here who would like to address council in regard to this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Second.
Support by Sol. Any discussion? I just have a couple of comments. I spent my last winter was my first winter living along snowmelt, and I actually received the notice of this hearing at home. So just so that people know, if you're affected by this, you actually get a notice in the mail from the city to come and participate in the public hearings. I want to say the only thing that disappoints me about living along snowmelt is that the parking lot of my building is not snowmelted. Every other portion of my downtown walk, my walk to church, my walk to a restaurant, my walk to shops, is all snow melted, clean and dry all winter long until I get to my own parking lot. I got to work on the people who live in my condo building to see if we can get it expanded into there. Personally, 3%, well worth it. It is an amazing system. It is an amazing thing for the people of the city of Holland and the people who come to visit us. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Corbin.
Yes.
Sol.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Wonderful, thank you. Item 7D, downtown parking operations and maintenance assessment. To adopt a resolution of necessity for the annual downtown parking operations and maintenance assessment and adopt a resolution scheduling a hearing on the final assessment for October 1, 2025. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, let me introduce you to Jeff Genova, our DDA director. He's going to come up and talk about parking. And parking is free downtown, except, Jeff, is parking free?
Yes, parking is free downtown.
Welcome, Jeff. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be back. It's been a while. The downtown parking operations and management, we're asking council to adopt a resolution of necessity and for the annual downtown parking operations and maintenance assessment, and adopt a resolution to schedule a public hearing on October 1st for that same fiscal year 26 downtown parking operations and management assessment. Parking downtown is free, and let me see. We have a new parking map. There it is. Basically what it is if your business is within 400 feet of public free parking, you get assessed this parking assessment, which allows you to have free parking. people come downtown. We have a perception that we have a parking problem, but we actually have 3,800 parking spots in the Downtown Development Authority. Half of those are private banks, churches, Hope College residents, but the other half of those are free parking with our 2 decks, the Civic Center, and all of the other 13 parking lots that we have, along with street parking on A Street and other streets in downtown. There is a lot of parking downtown. I kind of use the analogy of if you go to Grand Rapids, you're expected to pay and walk. When you come to Holland, you're expected to park out front and go in. So if we can help with that perception that we have free parking here and you might have to walk a little bit, we have a great opportunity for everyone to have free parking. And there's always parking spaces at the Civic Center. My office is there, and it is never full. Even at Farmers Market on Saturday, I can come down and find a spot. It might take me a minute, but you can find a spot. There's always parking and free parking available downtown. With that being said, we are asking for a 3% increase, and the reason for that is we added 2 parking leases to the parking system. One is right next to Big Lake Brewing. They doubled the lot there, and so we added those 26 parking spaces, and that parking lot has been used a tremendous amount. Also, the First United Methodist Church, they have a parking lot to the east that gets used on a regular basis, not just by parrots at night, but people during the day that work at LVZ and other places downtown. That lot was $1. They asked to increase the cost of that, and we went to $12 a space per month for that lot there. And we talked about keeping it or not keeping that lot, but that lot does get a lot of use, so we decided to keep it. That went through the DDA board. Both of these assessments were approved by the DDA board, which is made up of business owners, residents of downtown Hope College, and we have people from the BPW and from the city that all sit on that board that all approved both of these to send to you today. With that, that's kind of what I have for you in parking.
All right. Any questions? Tim?
Jeff, can you unpack our parking ramp that's on 7th Street? Of how much is that designated for businesses versus open parking?
So the top floor is all open at all time, for parking. The bottom floor, the Marriott uses only from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. 38 spaces on that lower level. So during the day, you can park in those Marriott spaces. Then Plaza East has 89 spaces on the other side that they use. I believe it's from 7 to 9. It's 6 or 7 to 9. So during the business hours, those are used, but those can be used overnight as well. I mean, later into the evening, but not between 2 and 5.
Do you monitor how much it gets utilized during the day?
The underneath gets used a lot during the day because of the Lakeshore Advantage building. All of those people park in there. Plaza East uses a good portion of theirs. Theirs are designated for them, so whether they have people renting their units or not, those spaces are taken. But the Marriott spaces, a lot of those get used by the Lakeshore Advantage people during the day.
And then upstairs
they leave it.
is pretty open?
Upstairs, it depends on the time of year. During the summertime, not as much, but actually in the wintertime, actually about a quarter of it gets used still. So it gets used, and then during tulip time and parades and everything like that, it's full.
Sure. My point is that it's a great resource that's, I think, underutilized.
Another place that there's usually a spot to park.
Thanks.
Other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you
It's
very
great,
much.
Great to have you here.
Glad to be here.
I need to open a public hearing on this item as well. So I will open the public hearing on downtown parking operations and maintenance assessment. Is there anyone here who would like to address council in regard to this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of council?
Move to approve.
Moved by Vreeman, support by Byrd. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Do you
Mr.
contribute to that 3% there as well?
I also live in that 3% as well.
thank
I
you.
was not going to make a comment
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. It's very kind
Absolutely.
of you.
And I wasn't going to say anything, but since you prompted me, Mr. Vreeman gave away my secret parking spot, which is the 7th Street parking deck, which always has open spaces. And I hesitate to say this because I don't want other people to take it, but there's also a charging station up there. And I have an electric vehicle and I don't have a charger at home, and I can charge overnight at the 7th Street parking deck. Yes, I have to pay for that, but it's always nice to have that charger within walking distance. So, yeah, I'm very happy, thank you, Mr. Corbin, to pay an additional 3% on that. Absolutely, absolutely. It's very nice of you. Yeah. Anyone else? Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Item number 9, written petitions and communications. In addition to providing the public the opportunity to address us directly at our meetings, we do also have an email address where you can send us email. Those are received by council and reviewed as part of our packet. And when we have them, they are accepted into the record at this time. We don't read them out loud, but we do accept them into the record. We don't have any this week, but I always like people to know that they can always email us and it will be received by all of us, and that is publiccomment@cityofholland.com. One more time, publiccomment@cityofholland.com. Next item on the agenda, item 10A, City Attorney, proposed amendment to city ordinances. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My neighbor in all these meetings is our city attorney, Vince Duckworth, and I'm going to hand this over to Vince to talk about revenue bond acts and the Board of Public Works and fun things like that.
Thank you, Keith, for the introduction. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the chance to chat. Is this microphone on? Great. Yeah, Revenue Bond Act. So cities can't go and get loans like from a bank, right? So cities are able to borrow money in very limited ways. One of them is a Revenue Bond Act. We're allowed to bond. And so the Revenue Bond Act controls that process. And then in utility context, the Revenue Bond Act is used to help finance utility improvements like electric and wastewater improvements and that type of thing. And then there are service fees that are paid for utilizing those services. But because the Revenue Bond Act is a tool that's used to help finance those things, there are certain rules on what can the city do, how can the city protect itself when receiving or providing these services and receiving payments. So generally, the city is allowed to lien. That means put a property lien against a customer for electric service or water service. And there are some exceptions when a property owner says, hey, I'm leasing this property to somebody else, and here's a copy of our lease. We think it's only fair that our tenant is the responsible party for, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. Dave's probably over there shaking his head at me, but the long and short of it is, if the Revenue Bond Act allows owners of property to avoid the lien option if they can prove and show there's a lease. However, the Revenue Bond Act also says that if the city is going to dispense or do away with this lien option, it must take a security. It must show that there's payment, a deposit, protecting the city's interest for when a tenant, and this could be a commercial tenant, this could be even a residential tenant, that needs to be done to basically make sure these protections that are afforded by the Revenue Bond Act are being operated properly. So kind of fast forward, all that kind of the background on Revenue Bond Act and how it's there to protect us. In looking at some terms of service updates from the BPW and looking at Revenue Bond Act and some other capacities, we became aware of this sort of some certain statement that when allowing a lease to sort of take the place of an ability to lien, there needs to be in an ordinance a deposit and a sum fixed in the ordinance. So right now our current ordinance doesn't give a specific sum, and it also allows after about I think a 12-month period sort of good faith or a good payment history, it allows a deposit to be returned to the tenant. And that is not expressly what the Revenue Bond Act says that as far as we can tell. I think that language has the genesis of it was maybe with the Michigan Public Service Commission at some point which the BPW is not regulated by. I don't want to get into too many details, but it came from somewhere. It just does not fit under the current structure. And in looking at the terms of service, it is our recommendation that the ordinances be amended to more closely meet revenue bond expectations, which is secure a sum fixed in ordinance for a deposit once a property is being leased and being serviced by electric and or water or sewer services. So that's kind of in a nutshell. There's 2 ordinances that we've drafted, and their red line versions are in the packet. But the recommendation would be to amend ordinance sections 9-6 relating to, I think that's the electric, and then ordinance 37-33 relating to the water services. I know it's a mouthful, but if there are some questions, I'd certainly be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Clear, crystal clear. Questions from council? So I just want to be clear on this because I was a landlord tenant attorney for a long time. This is a way to, one, be able to protect the city's interest if it's a landlord tenant arrangement, but it also provides that landlord the ability, at least initially, to be able to transfer that responsibility over to the tenant.
Right. A lot of landlords can have private agreements with tenants that the tenant's responsible for the utility. But without the Revenue Bond Act allowing sort of this deposit in lieu of liening the property, landlords would be subject to have their properties liened if a tenant didn't pay the bill.
Okay.
And so because of that, the Revenue Bond Act allows cities to get a deposit in a sum fixed by ordinance to protect against non-payment and not lien the landlord's property if their tenant doesn't pay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? This does not require a public hearing, so what I'm going to ask what is the pleasure of council?
Move to approve.
Moved by Sol. Is there support? Support by Rowan. Any discussion? Mr. Riemann.
Vince, I have a question, and maybe it's just my own ignorance. We had just got done talking about city assessments like parking and snow melt and things like that. Are those type of things necessary also in this type of arrangement?
No, those are outside of the Revenue Bond Act. The Revenue Bond Act applies to us going out and doing public improvements and borrowing money through the bonding process. That bonding process is controlled by that state law. The assessment process for streets and right-of-way improvements, that's controlled by, well, state law authorizes us, but our city charter sets up that framework that allows us to do special assessments, but it is outside of the Revenue Bond Act. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Rowan.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond. Yes. Corbin.
Yes.
Sol.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. We are up to one of the first of the 2 items that were taken off of consent and put on the regular agenda. The first one is 12D1, Development District Liquor License, request by Tulip City Golf Sims. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know this goes through the clerk's office, but Brenda will correct me if I share any incorrect information. And I know that this process went through the DDA board, and I know the other side of that television screen, I think Jeff is still here, right? So, but basically, we get these periodically, right? Where in the downtown area, the Liquor Control Commission allows for a certain type of license. That requires us to go through a process, which we have, get input from various departments. There's criteria that we need to take a look at. I will note there's other criteria that we don't look at. It's the criteria that's outlined in the liquor control process. Things like the amount of investment that the DDA reviewed, that the applicant is at a specific location, that they will engage in certain types of activities, dining, entertainment, or recreation, with a seating capacity of up to 50 people, that they paid a fee, that there's been information about the investors, owners, operators. So we went through that process, and in this case, that came back, went through the DDA, and thus the recommendation tonight to approve and send along to the state a resolution approving the development district license for Tulip City Golf Slims at 159 South River Avenue. I believe, I wasn't at the DDA meetings, but I think we have some applicants in the audience also, so if you have questions, you can ask questions of them also.
Thank you. Any questions for staff or the applicants? Mr. Freeman.
I just want to again clarify, I was at that meeting, there was two regarding this agenda item with the DDA, and that this is just it is approval for the liquor license as they develop their business plan to open their business. Is that correct? Okay.
That was a nod, yes, of correct, just for the people at home who might not have been able to see you. Yes, yes. Any other questions for staff or for the applicant? All right, great. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Byrd. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Soul. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, will you please call the roll?
Okay, Shea,
Yes.
Schultheis,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Corbin,
Yes.
Soul,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And now we're up to the next item that was taken off of the consent agenda, item 12 Echo 1.3, traffic changes, removal of non-compliant crosswalk on 40th Street. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I know Brian White is here. He'll help me out also as needed. But the first thing to be clear, we handle a process with all of these types of traffic control orders, where when it comes to you the first time, we actually ask and are recommending that you postpone this matter. And we do that so that we make notifications of the neighborhood surrounding the proposed traffic order, so they have plenty of notification of what was asked for in this case and recommended. And in this case, this goes back to crosswalks and pedestrian crossings, which is, I know, a topic that I have with you often, both individually because of questions, but also corporately. In this case, this was one of those where a request was made and going through the process and taking a look at criteria, because when we do these types of things, it is criteria driven. It needs to be criteria driven. It's not just we think we want, it's taking a look at data. So in this case, I think probably not what the person, I'm not sure who it was or if it was anonymous or otherwise, it really resulted in probably something that they were looking for more traffic control items there, and the reality is the amount of use of this in the area that it is, the recommendation from the traffic committee is actually to remove this crosswalk altogether. That's probably the hard news, Brian, right? So you can add anything else or if there's questions.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Mayor Box, council members, members of the audience, and members tuning in from home. My name's Brian White. I'm the traffic services or transportation services director and city engineer for the city of Holland. And if I can just expand on what Keith described there for this particular item. This was brought to us, I believe, from a resident in the nearby cobblestone development with the intention to upgrade it and make it more visible. Upon that request, we reviewed that at the traffic committee level. We actually, the traffic sergeant, John Boovy, went out and evaluated the usage of the crosswalk. And on that particular day, I believe there were 3 users of the crosswalk. So very, very low usage. And then the context is important as well, right? So this is certainly not similar to like a downtown crossing where there's low speeds. This is a little bit higher speed environment. And as we elaborate here in the report, there's always a concern for creating a false sense of security with these types of crossings. The other couple of things that play into this too is that as one of the maps shows, and I'm not sure if that's, do we have the visuals on this one? Let me just see if we've got that. We don't. Okay, but it's in your packet, and we can certainly include that in the next step of the process. But there are stop-controlled intersections along that block that folks can utilize in lieu of the mid-block crossing, and we would recommend, obviously, that be done. So the other thing we did was just check the as-built for 40th Street. 40th Street was built early 2000s before my time with the city, but upon review of those as-built, there's not any documentation or notation about this mid-block crosswalk. So when we look at it versus the requirements for current standards, it does not meet current standards. There's signage, there's pavement markings that are required for a mid-block crosswalk like this. And we do have mid-block crosswalks in other parts of town that do have those markings and those signage requirements in place, and typically those are more in the downtown area. Again, with that information in mind, the recommendation from the traffic committee is that as opposed to upgrading this particular spot for mid-block crossing, that we just remove it. And so that's a recommendation from the traffic committee to the council.
But tonight, we're postponing, so there's no
are.
action taken tonight,
Right.
theoretically, other than to postpone, so we notify the neighborhood.
Questions, Mr. Freeman?
Ryan, thank you. I want to make I have resounding things of happening in my own neighborhood. But I want to make sure I heard you correctly. If we remove this, you're saying that both intersections do have pedestrian lights to help cross?
Yes, so they have controls and pavement markings. They're both stop controls. And they basically, if you're going to try and get to one of the schools, you can certainly cross at those stop controls. Yep.
Other questions? Devin?
I have a few for you, Brian. Sorry.
Sure.
You know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
So first question, is that the criteria that we talk about,
Yep.
are those state mandated or are they just standards?
Yeah, so in this particular case with the mid-blocks, they're not like a mandated number. But to kind of put things in context too, also before you tonight is some changes around the Heinz factory. And the level of pedestrian traffic there between 80 to 90, I would say on the low side. That's the kind of volumes that we're looking for in order to implement something like this. Again, that's a piece, right, of the puzzle.
Sure.
And then you also have to look at context like, environment, speed, and things like that. So,
Right.
Again, that's in response
It's not the
to
final
question.
word, is that number isn't the final word,
Correct.
Then you said that someone spent a day out at the site
Yes.
and watched, and is that pretty normal for the process to be just a single day?
Yeah, it is. Typically, we take a Tuesday or a Thursday. Obviously, we want to make sure school is in session. Certainly can do some more evaluation between now and the next council meeting, just to give everyone, some updated information. But typically, we find that if all things are average and school's in session, that there probably won't be a whole lot of change from day to day.
And then, this is not a question, this is absolutely a statement, so forgive me. But I guess I would ask my colleagues to think about the fact that in one day, 3 people crossed this street. Is that a chicken or the egg situation? Are people not crossing because it feels dangerous? Are they not crossing because nobody wants to do it? I mean, I look at the map, I see the schools, I see a neighborhood that's family friendly, a really cool neighborhood actually. And so that's something that I think about. And then I also want to add that it's about 1,400 feet to the controlled cross stop at Ottawa, which would be, roughly about a half a mile going back and forth. That'd be a total of about a half a mile added to your trip walking. So just some.
If I could just point out too, though, I think the location of the school, where the schools are located, are probably located closer to the intersections, right?
That's fair.
Again,
Yep.
we're talking numbers, right?
You're right
So-
about that. That is true. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Schulteis.
Just for validation, Keith brought it up, the recommendation on the table tonight is for us to not take action so you can gain feedback from property owners in the area, and then subsequent to that, it would come back to us for a decision, correct?
Yep, correct. And that's what we do with all the traffic committee recommendations. And we would invite them to the meeting, basically, so that they would have an opportunity to comment on that, so.
Other questions for staff? Mr. Corbin?
So I know it's standard, right? It's not law, but standards that we use and how we determine this.
Mhm.
And I think one of my colleagues mentioned the frequency in which we're evaluating the number of people using that crosswalk. I think different times of day, different times of year, seasons, all play into part of that. And the close relationship to these types of facilities we have there, that really matters. So just more of a statement, I guess, or maybe it's as you refine this or you get feedback from the community, might consider additional days of assessment.
And I think there's an opportunity to do that before the next meeting too.
Final recommendation. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Other questions for staff? Great. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right.
The recommendation from staff is that we postpone this item. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item? Moved by Schulteis, support by Corbin. Is there any discussion? I wanted to echo what you were saying, Devin, and what Scott was saying. I know this area really well. I used to drive through it all of the time. And for the people out there who are listening, we have a motion on the floor to give you time to get feedback to us. If you don't know where we're talking about, there is a path or a sidewalk that comes out of the back end of the Cobblestone neighborhood and right in the center of the intersect on 40th Street in between Grafscup and Ottawa Avenue. And if you're not familiar with that, there is an Holland Christian Elementary School that is right on the corner of Grafscup and 40th, and Holland Christian High School is on the corner of Ottawa and 40th Street. So yes, opportunity for lots of kids there. I was surprised by that number of 3 as well. But folks, if you live in that area, this is your opportunity to get to council. We often hear that we're not reaching out, we're not letting them know what's going on. This is your opportunity to be able to do that so that you can get feedback to us on that. But definitely do get to us if you have comments about this. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
As soon as Mr. Freeman's.
There.
Yes, he did. Okay, we'll start with Schulteis.
Yes.
Byrd?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Raymond? Yes. Corbin?
Yes.
Soul?
Yes.
Rowan?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Mayor Box?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, 12 Echo 3.1, a recommendation to approve construction contract for bike park. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've gotten to that point of E3.3, which is Parks and Recreation, which is becoming the Garrett Thalen. I get to tell you about cool projects that are coming up in the community. And this is absolutely one of those cool projects. So I'm going to ask Garrett to come up and talk about the bike park. Sometimes we've been here for a while, so I always joke about this one. This is the project that made a untruthful person of me, because I always used to say, there isn't, you go to the north side of the bridge and you're not in the city anymore, except for the bike park. And Garrett will, I'm sure, include that. And I think there's even a little map in his presentation. So take it away, Garrett.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. And good evening, council. Thanks for having me here tonight. So yeah, this has been a project been working on for about 18 months now. It's been, a little bit in the shadow of another big project that's in the same area, but this one is just as exciting, in my opinion, and there's a lot of community members that are really excited to get this rolling and for us to move forward with it. So whenever we take on a project of this scope, we do a ton of fact finding, and this project's no different. We've had a lot of different public meetings that we've presented this at, including Parks and Rec Commission meetings, planning study sessions, and then obviously we had the opportunity for you guys to accept the design contract for this about 14 months ago. And so some of the key drivers of the decisions after that fact finding, when we start to get to the design phase, is as far as the community, do we want it? Obviously, community is always top of mind, that it makes sense. Then we moved on to quality. We have expert designs for this. We have some of the best people in the country that have designed this pump track for us that will be presented tonight. And then we always talked about impact. What's our return on investment? We want that to be, as impactful as possible with the dollars that we do spend. Then we work on alignment, and we feel like we have a design here tonight that really aligns with what we do as far as the programming side of recreation, in that there's a low barrier of entry with opportunity to improve and expand on skills that people that attend the bike park are going to be able to have the opportunity to improve on their skills as they work through the course into different levels. Then we also have just continued success. We have a bike park that is going to be designed to be sustainable, and we're not going to have to hire any additional staff to maintain the bike park. It's going to be an asphalt track that does not have to be continually graded and maintained. That's one of the biggest things that we found in our fact-finding session, is that there was a bike park that we visited that was closed more than it was open because of the amount of maintenance that was required, and just because of the rain, the moisture that would take a toll on the track that was presented to the community there. And then we want there to be a level of, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth for the next one, we want this phase to have a level of finality to it. We want this to be able to stand alone as itself, but we're going to design it with the ability to expand in the future if the community appetite is there for it. So the location, as Keith mentioned, it's on the other side of the bridge. So it's going to be, again, a piece of property that I never knew existed until about 2 years ago. The official address is 97 North River Avenue. It's about 3 to 4 usable acres there. The lot is presented about 16 acres, but realistically, there's 3 to 4 acres that are buildable upon Eagle inspection. It's going to be accessible from the pedestrian bridge. It's on the Macatawa Greenway Trail, which we think is a huge asset, and then is about 3/4 of a mile away from the new ice park. So here's the plan that we are looking to move forward with. The plan that I'm presenting tonight is the areas in blue, yellow, and red. That's the beginner/adaptive pump track, the intermediate pump track, and then the site amenities. Basically, the site amenities I'll get to as far as what's included in that. So as far as a beginner adaptive pump track, this is similar to what would be presented. You see somebody who's a little bit younger. This is an opportunity for kids that would be ages roughly 5 to 6 years old to be able to have the opportunity to learn on what they call strider bikes. They're basically bikes without pedals, but also anybody who wants to just take their first ride at on a pump track without feeling like they're gonna put themselves in harm's way is the basic idea of that. And then also it's an adaptive model. That's some programming that we've taken on to adaptive recreation, so that fits into the overall vision what the department is looking to accomplish. And then this is the full-scale pump track. There is a wide range of people that are able to use this. The way it was presented to us from American Ramp, if any of you ski, it's pretty much blue square all the way to double black diamond as far as the level of skill that's involved with this. So what's cool about that, though, it's all in one track and you can use it how you see fit and what your abilities are. And then for the site amenities, we want to have power for site lighting, basically security lighting at this point. Portable restrooms will be there at this time. Parking, the window on the waterfront lot that was just redone is tabbed as one of the main parking lots, but we are still in talks with local businesses as far as utilizing some of the parking in that area. We'd like to have a pavilion there, so there's can be a community gathering space. Obviously, we want it to be very communal when people visit the bike park, and then also we'll have bike racks there. Obviously, that makes a ton of sense at a bike park. So here's the budget that we have in front of you. The MCIF budget had tab for that was approved last budget cycle, $600,000 in it had for this. And this is the breakdown of the costs that are involved with this. Came out to $703,630. One note that I do want to put on this is that we did get awarded a RAP grant for $185,600, but $185,600. But that has not been formally accepted by council yet, so that cannot be included in this budget piece. So just want to make that note here. So that's just a little bit of a process equation. So other than that, that's pretty much the scope of the work in the project. So I'd open up to any questions.
Ms. Rowan.
Thank you, and congratulations on working a couple of cool puns in there with getting things rolling and alignment.
I wish it was intentional.
Nicely done. The other thing I wanted to ask, I think I recall when you first came here and just proposed the look-see for this, and gauged our interest. Remind us what that land would be usable for, were it not for something like this. Or maybe that's phrased wrong. Is the land right now kind of swampy, kind of just outdoorsy, and it, from your layperson's perspective, would we be able to build something righteous on there, or is this a pretty good use for that piece of property?
Correct, yeah. So there, after the report that we got back from Eagle, there's not a ton that we're able to, there's not a ton of building foundations that we'd be able to put on this property. So it's a great use, in my opinion, of a space that we probably wouldn't be able to get much use out of otherwise.
And that's what I recall from our discussion when you first proposed the project. So I think it sounds like a great idea, and I think the graphics are pretty excellent as well. Thank you.
Any other questions for Garrett? Ms. Raymond.
Maybe this is a question for Keith, but I'm just wondering about the process. I know Matt has this, this 50-year-long schedule for the MCIF. What happens when $600 needs to be, set aside for something like this that wasn't in the plan initially?
So this is in the plan. It is in the plan.
It's in the MCIF budget for $600,000 currently. That was approved. So this has been, it's been upped by essentially $100,000 and $103,000.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yep.
This is a relatively new project, right? This is just
Yeah, but we added it in. Help me out, Garrett. I remember we a local business and nonprofit, Velo Kids, has really been a driver behind that. Came up with the idea. We caught on to the idea and really liked it. So it hasn't been in the MCIF plan for long. The continue like 50 years or 5 years ago and moved up. But we were able to, because other projects have come in below budget or delayed, we've been able to make room for it. So we're very comfortable with making the recommendation at the dollar amount that you hear tonight. And then there's other things involved. I'll just say the RAP grant is still out there, but I want to be clear that we're committing to the 703-630, the recommendation and the action that we hope you take tonight. But then kind of the cool colors that Garrett had in there also, it stands alone, and yet I think there's other community interest and support for this that we hope would come alongside and maybe do some of the other colors and the other amenities that would kind of do this is good by itself, but if other people get behind it, it could be even better.
Right. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Mr. Shea.
I just wanted to say, Garrett, and to the whole department, affirming and encouraging with the adaptive mindset. I just want to thank you for that and keep it up. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Corbin?
Yeah, so I know there's limited use for this property, and it's great that we're trying to find ways of using property that doesn't have much or value in respect to, as you mentioned, housing. And you see how you're peddling this along to us and sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Very good.
You guys started it, so I'm just kind of keeping it going. It's good that we're doing something like this. I like the colors. I like, even at night, wouldn't that be really cool? Lit up like that? That would be really neat. But I guess my question where I'm going to this is that's a fairly large piece of property. How are we going to secure that at night, after hours? I mean, how we do that? How are we going to do that, especially with bikes riding? What kind of way are we going to secure that? And then also ongoing maintenance and cost to this, because I know it's just some bike trails, but still there's cost to that. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we did have money set aside for security lighting in that space. And then as far as the ongoing costs, we do have a model that is completely asphalt throughout the track, so we do not have to do a ton of maintenance with that. There's a fairly long lifespan before you have to do anything resurfacing wise to that track. There will be some additional mowing that our mow crew is going to be able to do, and then there's going to be a walking track that is going to be dirt that we're basically going to clear out ourselves to allow potentially parents to walk while their kids ride their bikes on the pump track. But we don't envision a ton of extra maintenance along with this track.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Schulteis?
It's a little bit along the same lines as Scott, more about fencing as opposed to lighting. I think when this was initially teed up, we talked about it and unsure at this point. Was that considered in cost opportunities?
It is considered. We do have a fencing budget that we are able to tap into every year. And if that is one thing I do have in the back of my mind for this, I have a little bit of a wait and see approach to see if it does need it, how much traffic will be there at night. One of the good things is we will have the opportunity to hopefully open this during the summer and be able to, we can put up fencing fairly quickly and make that adjustment as needed.
Yeah, thanks. And I think it's less about nighttime, but more about seasonal. I'm trying to correlate it to like the skate park. I think it's got a gate and a lock that would close up in the wintertime for liability purposes. So that's just kind of where I'm thinking for wintertime.
Yeah, and point well taken. I do think there is an element of four-season options with fat tire bikes with this. So we do want to leave that option open if the community sees it as a good option for them.
Yep. Any other questions for Garrett? Yes, Mr. Van Beek.
I will just add, and I don't think you were referring to this from this perspective, Councilmember Schulteis, but just maybe for the listening public, doing ride-alongs with the police department at night and different things, security lighting is more effective than fencing. Fencing, sometimes you need it to maybe keep people from unintentionally getting into a place from a liability perspective. But Garrett, people jump over fences pretty quickly. We find effective lighting where our officers and other people are going by is more of a deterrent and more helpful for us from an enforcement perspective.
Ms. Raymond.
The lighting made me think of those townhomes that are along the east side of the property. What kind of conversations have we had with the neighbors there? And I can't get a sense of how far away they are from the actual park and how the lighting will affect them.
Sure, yeah, good question. So as far as the lighting that is installed now, there's ability to have a lot more direct lighting than we were able to install 10, even 15 years ago. So it won't have any impact on the townhomes, any type of lighting that would be installed there.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions for Garrett? I've got a couple. Mentioned the proximity to a window on the waterfront. As I've been tracing that pathway in my head, I think you can get from window on the waterfront in the ice park all the way now to the pump track without having to cross the street. Yes?
Yep, that is correct. And one thing I do want to note is that there will be down the road, we're looking to put this park within the window on the waterfront system.
Okay.
So.
The other is, I'm old. When I was a kid, there were the BMX guys and there were the 10-speed guys, and I was a 10-speed guy. And I heard Mr. Corbin mention track, and this
was
project.
BMX guy.
You were a BMX guy?
Yeah.
That explains a lot. That really does. He mentioned track, and this project is the first time I've ever heard the term pump track. So we're not talking about a loop here, right, for the riders? This is more of a BMX guy kind of a project?
So the cool thing about this that it is both. So essentially what we would have here is that on this track that goes around, Mr. Corbin could be airborne while he goes over through it, and you would be on the track the entire time. So you can keep two wheels on the ground.
So I'm in the yellow area, and you're saying that Mr. Corbin's in the red area.
Yep, in this analogy, that is correct.
You're on the cool side. Okay. And I was glad to hear you mention, because now I'm a fat tire guy. So I got a fat bike that I love. So that's not part of this phase, but something that you're thinking about in the future, or?
So that would be if somebody wants to ride their bike in the winter. I mean, more likely if you're out in the winter, you have a fat tire bike, and if you want to utilize the space. Great thing about this, it is asphalt. If the sun comes out in Michigan, it usually dries asphalt, and it would be able to be utilized by anybody that wants to.
Okay, great, thank you. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Sol. Is that support by Bird? Is that what I heard down there? Grant, support by Bird. Any discussion? I just have a comment. Great job, Garrett. Great job to the Parks Department. Keith was right. You get to come and tell us about cool projects that are going on. I think it's just one of the great things that we're able to provide for the people of the city of Holland. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Start with Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Sol.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yep.
Shay.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 13, communications from the city manager. Mr. Van Beek.
I have several items tonight, but I think you'll be excited about hearing them. First of all, this afternoon, all day tomorrow, and Friday morning, I think there's a contingent of 4 council members and myself that are attending the Michigan Municipal League Conference, the MML convention, in Grand Rapids. So driving back and forth and learning about matters, hearing encouragement, good ideas from other communities across the state. So we're busy with that. Headley, we're talking about it, and we'll be talking about it more, and I want to specifically let the public know that we've established 2 sessions, October 8 and 21, both at 7 o'clock here in council chambers. They won't be different. They'll kind of be repeat sessions of the same topic, I would imagine. And we invite the public to come to that evening. It'll be more of an open house type event, maybe a short presentation, but just come in and learn more about the question that we have on the ballot on November 4. And I will also say that highlighted on our website is an informational page that has the conversation that council had the evening that you voted to put it on the ballot, different information we've shared in the e-newsletter, and also Mayor and I will be doing a podcast and making it part of our podcast series. So we're looking at lots of different ways to try to get the word out in an educational component so that citizens can have their questions answered as we approach that November election date. Also on October 8, but prior to this session, Collin Park Fire Station, we're having an open house. We're really excited to have that up and operational and inviting the public to come out and see the fire station between 5 and 8 o'clock. Again, October 8 between 5 and 8. And yes, council, I'll be looking for you maybe that night to not stay there till 8 o'clock, but to come back here for the Headley session at 7 o'clock. Ice Park. A lot of people have been asking this question. Yes, we are zeroing in on the week of November. I think the Monday is November 10, and we will have various events building and culminating to a grand opening ceremony on Friday afternoon, November 14 at 2 o'clock. Everyone's invited. We will make sure we'll have a program and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll have special invites and reserved seating and all that kind of fun stuff because we think it is something that people are excited about. More information to come. Here's what I'll tell you. Similar to when restaurants open for the first time and there's lots of different things that you need to prepare for, we will have a couple nights prior to November 14 where we basically have invite-only soft opening. Please help us figure out all the kinks and do those types of things. So that is not open to the general public. We'll have, those are targeted groups that are helping us, get things right for opening night. Again, the grand opening celebration, Friday, November 14, 2 o'clock. And then the first general skate open night is that night at 6 o'clock. Now, we're going to say this many, many times. We expect that this will have strong participation. So people should understand, particularly in this first year, that this isn't something where you just go, oh, I feel like going and skating tonight and showing up at the ice park. Because we want this to be a good experience for the people that come and use the ice park, it's like a lot of other programming in the Parks and Recreation Department. You sign up for things and you sign up for spots prior to. So I'm looking at Garrett a little bit. We don't have the exact date, but come middle of October, late October, we will open up the software that you can use to begin to sign up for those dates. And yes, we expect that first general public session that night at 6 o'clock, and then we'll have at least one more that night also. Will probably be a hot ticket, but patience, our friends. There will also be months and months and months of opportunity to sign up for those open dates. But I wanted to get that for your information on your calendar and for others, and definitely the excitement is building. I will also let you know that Hope College has been communicating with us. They had initial approval through the Planning Commission already for their business college on property that they've had under their ownership for a long time, fronting on 8th Street. And they had initial approval at the full approval at the Planning Commission. We think that there are some things that will come back to the Planning Commission for some improvements, some alterations to the plan that will go through that. But that is moving forward, we're told. And it's moving forward, and just for everyone to be aware, everyone still remembers it as the Versendaal car dealership. Possibly as early as next week, that will be demoed. And we all know that once something is demoed, it becomes real for people. So I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that and that others were aware of that is starting. And we'll also be communicating to you. I think you'll receive invites where there will also be a groundbreaking ceremony for the kickoff of that college building. And then final, it's just on the announcement, but I'm not going to step on top of it. There's an announcement page on here that Lynn maybe will highlight under council announcements. And that's all I have, unless any of you have questions for me. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Van Beek? Great. Thank you. Then next item on the agenda, item 14, appointments and communications from the mayor. I do have a number of things tonight, and I first have an appointment, and I apologize. As I said earlier, I'm old, and my computer battery died, so I'm doing this off of my phone, and the type is really small for a guy like me. I am recommending to the City Council that you approve the appointment of Cindy Pocock to the Human Relations Commission for a 3-year term expiring June 30, 2028, and Chin San Sandy Pierce to the International Relations Commission for a 3-year term expiring June 30, 2028. And I'd be looking for a motion in that regard.
Move to approve.
Moved by Freeman, support by Byrd. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on that I have is a proclamation in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas the City of Holland joins communities across our nation in honoring the many ways the Hispanic community contributes to our common goals in working together toward a stronger and vibrant democracy and a more prosperous America for all. And whereas we pause to celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 through October 15, whose theme for 2025 is Collective Heritage, Honoring the Past, Inspiring the Future. And whereas we recognize the significant history and achievements of Hispanic American communities, while also highlighting their ongoing efforts to lead and shape the future. And whereas we celebrate the accomplishments of the Hispanic community in our local community and the work of many leaders throughout our local history who work to promote greater access and opportunity for their people. And whereas the Hispanic community continues to move forward with an abundance of grace, absolute fortitude, and continued dream of prosperity, not just for themselves, but for all people. And whereas, as a city, we come together to acknowledge the foundation and continued strength of our community rests in the many people who have settled here and call Holland home. And whereas we invite residents to participate in Hispanic Heritage Month programming to learn more about the diversity of the Hispanic culture at the Herrick District Library, experience local Hispanic cuisine, participate in local events like the Latin Americans United for Progress Gala, El Dia de los Muertos, festivals at the Holland Museum, or the Hispanic Heritage Month Lecture at Hope College. Now therefore, I, Nathan Box, Mayor of the City of Holland, Michigan, and members of the Holland City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15 through October 15 Hispanic Heritage Month. Please join us in this annual tribute by learning about and celebrating the Hispanic heritage of our community. Given under my hand and the seal of the City of Holland, the 7th day of September 2025, Mayor Nathan Box. And Mr. Van Beek, thank you for reminding me about Headley. I've been getting a lot of questions, as I'm sure council members have. One of the questions that I keep getting is why I keep saying it's the most important thing that may happen during my time as mayor. And as I said when we were debating whether to put this on the ballot, everything that we do starts with the budget and making sure that we have the resources that the people of the City of Holland need. And that's exactly what Headley allows us to do. It allows our local elected officials to make the decision about what the appropriate tax rate is, and so that we can be sure that we can plan for the future and that we can have the revenue that we need. Our job as council members is to be good stewards of the people's taxpayers' dollars. I see that as a sacred trust. Along that same line, we are the ones who also have to make the determination of what the appropriate amount of taxation is for the people of the City of Holland. And as we've said many times, this is not a tax hike. We have for 14 years in a row levied the exact same millage rate in the City of Holland. And as we discussed, we don't see any reason to do that in the future, even when we've got great projects like the bike park and the ice park. We balance our budgets, we get the work done. That's why I say that this is the most important thing for the future of the City of Holland and that we may do during the rest of my term as the mayor. So, and that is all I have this evening. Next item on the agenda, appointments, motions, communications from council members. Anything from council? Ms. Raymond.
Yeah, on your screen you can see the new Neighborhood Connection newsletter We learned about this yesterday at the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. It's right on the website. It's not actually a newsletter that will come to you. You can go to the neighborhood and housing programs on the website, and this will be updated on a monthly basis. Lots of great information and about what's happening in our neighborhoods. And just as a reminder, September is National Good Neighbor Month, so there are lots of activities going on around town to celebrate the neighborhoods. And just a couple of things that I want to point out. They are encouraging, who is it? Is it West Corps is encouraging people to celebrate Front Porch Fridays. So if you're in your neighborhood and you've got a nice front porch, just sit out there and do something, wave at your neighbors, play games, sidewalk chalk, whatever. So front Porch Fridays. Why is that so hard to say? And then also a citywide celebration on the 27th. That's Saturday, right? 3 to 6. And it's on South Washington, and the only thing I can think of is that it's where Blockbuster used to be, and the Big B is there now. Yeah, everything is identified by what used to be there. So yeah, so 3 to 6, everybody's going to be gathering there for lots of good fun. So that's Neighborhood Improvement Committee update.
Great, thank you. Any other items from council members? Mr. Shea?
Yeah, as liaison to the Human Relations Commission, I just would like to thank you for this appointment that you've done today. That's a great move forward. I'm curious, though, if you could give us a timeline on the remaining 3 seats.
There has been incredible interest in serving on the Human Relations Commission. I think that's a testament to the great work that the Human Relations Commission does. And I need to make sure that I have the opportunity to talk with everyone who has expressed that interest to make sure that we get the right group of people. So I wish I could tell you exactly when that would be, but getting schedules lined up and appointments and meetings done, I just can't say at that point, but I'm working diligently to be able to get those remaining ones filled.
I have to ask, according to the ordinance, though, this is a July 1st appointment.
That's when those renew. It is not uncommon for that to take longer, and especially in a situation like this, we want to make sure that we get this right rather than doing quickly. My goal is to do this right with the advice and the consent of council.
I would just kind of push back that if we want to do it right and take the time, which I agree with, maybe we should have been thinking about it in March. Instead of having 5 members, well, now 6. I mean, the group is having a hard time even fulfilling basic roles as like sending booths to events. So they're really limited right now by their small size.
Yeah, thank you. You've been heard.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other? Yes, Mr. Corbin.
Well, I think we'll go with. Go ahead. Mine's just a little bit related. So, yeah, I think it's important to note that people can still serve with the Human Relations Commission because there's a lot of activities they can get involved with. But I have myself, from advice and consent, I have submitted at least 2 people who are very excited, very interested in participating on that committee as well. So I know the mayor has a lot of people to vet and go through and give them consideration. So appreciate that, Mayor, for doing that. And then just capitalizing on something you said, Ms. Raymond, 360 was in our neighborhood the other day at Maranatha Christian Reform. It was a wonderful turnout. We had probably about 50, 60 people there. It was really a good turnout. And really just talking about what they can do, and maybe inspiring us in the 5th Ward, Maplewood neighborhood area to get involved more often with each other. And it was great. It was a great conversation. But the conversation also extended into what's going to happen with Holland Elementary School there in Maplewood Elementary. And it's really something that is something of interest to all of them. I don't know that I could explain everything, so I know that there's some council members here who've been serving on the Planning Commission. I know there's been some public meetings I couldn't make and attend, but I think we need to really do a good service, and I hopefully reach out to all of you to get more information about what's going on with Maplewood School. I think that's a vital interest of everyone in that corridor. So, and then let's see. I think I have one more thing here. Oh, the Headley proposal. I was on the radio the other day, and so just being informative is what I'm trying to do. Just bring out the reasons for why we put the proposal on the ballot for this fall. And I hope people take any of the talking points that are on our websites and from what we all understand, reach out to us, try to understand a little bit better. It's really important for us to one, understand it and how it's going to be applied going forward. And whether there's support, that's up to the constituents to decide. That's why the Headley's designed the way it is, and that's why we put it out there. Let the constituents of the city of Holland, let them decide whether or not this is going to be for needed or necessary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Ms. Rowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a public comment earlier tonight that I take a bit of exception to, whereby the speaker, who is no longer in our audience, she left, but she made a commentary about our board not having dissension, and I take extreme exception to that. I don't think that that's a negative. I think in a world where it's very loud, there's a lot of dissension everywhere around us, and I think a strong, functioning local body is exactly what we need right now. Perhaps people need to rethink their values of what their government should look like. I disagree. And I'll be praying for that person, since they're going to be praying for us. I'm going to be praying that somebody can understand that it's important to just have agreement, cohesion. It doesn't mean that we all lockstep with the same opinion. We have differing opinions. We have our own voices. We exercise those voices at our dinners together. We exercise those voices at our study sessions together, and sometimes even at our council sessions together. However, it doesn't mean that we are all without our own minds, our own thinking, our own opinions, and our own vote. So I just wanted to speak to that comment, and I profoundly disagree with that commentary. And I'm very proud of the work that we do here together.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Vreeman?
I had attended the League of Women Voters panel discussions last night in these chambers, and I'm very appreciative of that group and the work that they've done to present a forum of open discussion and dialogue to allow our city, our voters to know who they're voting for and the different candidates. And so I'm just expressing their gratitude for their leadership and putting that forum together. And I would encourage you to watch it. I think it'll be online as well on the city. So thank you.
Yeah, great, thank you. Any other motions, communications from council? Ms. Soul?
I'd just like to add, I think to let everyone know, most of us aren't originally from Holland. So to your point, Kim, we speak our opinions, our lived experiences, our values, and I'm grateful to be amongst colleagues, professionals. We can agree to disagree, but you're right. It's not always in dissension. We respect one another. Our opinions are valued, and we ask questions. So I concur on your sentiments, so thank you for letting the public know and our constituents that we have our own values, and maybe from that side where that person was speaking, they don't see those things because of their lived experience or their own values, but we are true to our values as they may be, and it's great that we can come together to vote for the best for our constituents and the city of Holland. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other appointments, motions, communications from council members? All right, there's just one more motion I would entertain at this time.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Byrd. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.